A very good morning to you all. I am Dr. N. Rajastri, Assistant Professor of Economics, Pingil Government College for Women, Vadapalli, Varangal. In today's class, we are going to learn about the Industrial Policy Resolution 1991. Okay. First, you should know what is an industrial policy. The industrial policy, it is a statement which defines the role of government in industrial development. So in industrial development, what is the role of the government? Government role you have to remember. Okay. So the place of the public and the private sectors plays a very important role in industrialization of a country. So here, in brief, we can say that it is a statement of objectives to be achieved in the areas of industrial development and what are the measures we can adopt towards achieving these objectives. Because we said that the objectives are based for industrial development. Certain objectives will be there for industrial development. So here you can remember what are the major objectives of the industrial policy. So the policy lays down the rules and the procedures, what the government has to do and what is the pattern and everything it plans, okay, in order to develop the industrial sector. So the major objectives you can remember in the policy now, rapid industrial development, and secondly, balanced industrial structure, then prevention of concentration of economic power and the balanced regional growth. So these are the four objectives: rapid industrial development, balanced industrial structure, prevention of concentration of economic power, that is concentrating only on one side. With that, what happens? The rich will become richer and the poorer will become poorer. Okay, and the balanced regional growth must be there. All the regions must be developed. So here, before this 1991 policy, now we had, after attaining the independence on August 15th, 1947, it was thought to give a new policy for our industrial development and to decide the priority areas and to clear the doubts in the minds of the private entrepreneurs regarding the nationalization of existing industries. So try to remember the 48 policy, the first policy, and here only just one sector. They concentrated only, that is on 1948, they announced this policy, whereby both the public and the public and the private sectors were involved towards the industrial development. Both the sectors, public sector and also the private sectors, were involved for industrial development. So here in my 1948 policy, already you know about the four sectors. It has been categorized, and whereas 56 policy na only just it was established, the policy resolution came into existence during 1956. Okay, and accordingly they are classified. Okay, fine. That is about the 48 and the 56 industrial policy resolutions. The next, coming to the industrial 1991 policy. So in this new industrial policy resolution 1991, major changes have undertaken. Okay, these policies, no encouragement for the foreign ownership and the control, and here you can remember this major changes they have undertaken in new industrial policy resolution. So here, who has implemented this 1991 policy? That is in June 1991, that is Sri PV, late Narasimha Rao, the government, he took government took over charge, and the wave of the reforms and the liberalization were observed in the economy. So during that period in 1991, major changes they made because it was in crisis. Okay, and in this new atmosphere of reforms, the government announced a new industrial policy on July 24th, 1991. So here the major objectives of this new policy is to build on the gains already made, correct the distortions of the weaknesses that might have crept in, maintain a sustained growth in the productivity and also the gainful employment. So try to remember that in this, the major objective is to correct the distortions and also the weaknesses. So here firstly we can remember under the features now, abolition of industrial licensing. In this new industrial policy, they gave importance to abolition of industrial licensing. So here, no need of taking the permission from the government. If you want to establish an industry, you can establish an industry. Got it? Before that, restrictions were there. But here, they reduced that. That is, you can remember they abolished and they made only 6 industries where licensing they made a compulsory. Okay, that is alcohol, cigarettes, hazards, chemicals, drugs, pharmaceuticals, electronics, aerospace and defense, equipment and industrial explosives. So here, for some they made it compulsory and others no need of taking the permission from the government. They can establish wherever they want to establish an industry, they can establish. So the first is what? Abolition of industrial licensing. Before that, a big process was there. If you want to establish, you should go to the government, you should approach, and you have to pay the amount, and a big process was there. But in this new industrial policy resolution, they made the changes. No need of taking the permission from the government. And for some industries, they made it a compulsory. And for others, they didn't give any, they can establish. And second, you can remember public sector's role diluted. Okay, why the public sector's role has diluted? Because public sector industries were under sick. Why they were under sick? Because of losses, huge losses in the public sector undertakings, in industries. Okay, they are not producing anything, surplus is not produced. So what they have done? The privatization has taken place. So the public sector role has diluted because it is under loss. Okay, the number of industries which are reserved for the public sector was only just 70. Then this number has reduced to only 3. They are arms and the ammunitions and allied items of defense equipment, atomic energy and rail transport. So remember, these are the 3 industries. You have to remember how they have the role has been diluted. Is it clear? We're giving importance to public sector because when we are giving importance to public sector, it is still under losses. We are not getting any profits. So waste of giving the salaries and other things to the public sector employees, those who are working in that. So if it is under loss, what is the use of establishing only those industries? Got it? And main motive is what? Public sector's service motive. Whereas private sector's motive is what? Profit motive. Okay? And here you can remember the public sector role, how the main elements of the government policy towards the public sector undertakings are to bring down the government equity in all non-strategic public sector units to 26% to or lower, and restructure and revive the potentially viable units and close down the public sector which cannot be revived, and fully protect the interest of the workers. So try to remember, first feature is what? Abolition of industrial licensing. No need of taking licensing from the government. If you want to establish, you can establish. Whereas public sector's second point, you can remember, the public sector role has diluted, giving less importance to public sector and giving more importance to private sector. You have seen the electricity. It has been privatized. So now after privatization, you can see how they are collecting the bills. Public sector, they least bother to collect the bills. Whereas private sector, the quick returns, they want only the profits. So for that purpose, they changed the meters and everything, they changed it. So with that, they are getting the income. Okay. So try to remember about that. And the next we can see the MRTP Act. What is this MRTP Act? That is Monopolies Restrictive Trade Practices Act. Okay. So here in this, the new industrial policy states that the government will undertake and review the existing public sector units in low technology, small scale and non-strategic areas, and the SIC units which will be referred to the Board of Industrial and the Financial Restructure for advice about the rehabilitation and the reconstruction. For this now, they passed the Act, Monopolies Restrictive Trade Practices Act, and here that is a memorandum of understanding about the what is that they will be provided a much greater degree of management autonomy through the management to the system of memorandum of understanding. Okay, this act, because the monopoly is what having authority. Okay, so in that they passed in 1970 and they abolished in the same year 1970 itself. The next, free entry to foreign investment and also technology. So here you can remember the government is committed to promote increased flow of foreign direct investment for better technology, modernization, exports, and for providing products and the services of international standards. So the government is committed to promote the foreign direct investment. Why? Why they gave importance to this foreign direct investment? Why it was essential during that period? Why? Because we don't have much capital during that period. Okay, only just for 100 days it was sufficient, the capital amount. So during that period, P.V. Narasimha Rao has implemented this, and he stated that capital flow, when there is capital is when there is less capital, we cannot investment will not take place. So when you are not investing, what happens to the production of the commodities? Because we the consumers, we need the commodities. If people are not producing, if it stops now, everything will collapse. Okay, now the situation also you can see the investment, they are under crisis. Okay, somebody has to help. So who has to help here? The foreigners, the foreign direct investment from other countries, from the rich countries. Now, if there is a flow of investment to our economy, naturally what happens? Production will increase. So here you can remember that foreign direct investment for better technology. When there is an investment, we can use a technology, better technology we can use, and we can modernize the things, and also we can export the commodities, and for providing products and also services of international standards. Okay, so try to remember the government is during that period it has given much importance to flow of foreign direct investment. Why they gave the importance, you have to remember. Okay, in order to increase the production, in order to modernize the things. So therefore you can remember that the policy of the government has been aimed at encouraging the foreign investment, particularly in core infrastructure sectors, so as to supplement the national efforts. Okay, that is free entry of foreign investment and technology. You got an idea about this? Why the government has given much importance to foreign direct investment? Because we don't have much capital during that period. That's why they implemented this FDI. And the next we see the liberalized industrial location policy. What is this? The new industrial policy provides that in locations other than cities of more than 1 million population, there will be no requirement of obtaining industrial approvals from the center. Okay, except for industries subjected to compulsory licensing. So those industries, or some industries are compulsory, they must get the licensing from the government, except those that is other industries, they can establish. They gave the freedom. Okay, locations other than cities, they'll see the population, 1 million population and no need of the requirement of obtaining the industrial approvals from the center. They can establish. The location and everything is fine now, they can establish. And the next you can see a large part of the industrial investment, that is about the removal of mandatory convertibility clause. What is this? A large part of the industrial investment in India is financed by loans from banks and financial institutions. So these institutions have followed a mandatory practice of including a convertibility clause, a change in their lending operations for new projects. Okay, so this has provided them an option of converting part of their loans into equity, and the policy has provided the financial institutions which are not imposed this mandatory convertibility clause. So they remove this mandatory convertibility clause. So remember, these are the features of the policy, that is abolition of industrial licensing, public sector's role diluted, MRTP Act, free entry to foreign investment and the technology, liberalized industrial location policy, and removal of mandatory convertibility clause. So thus we can see that the new policy is more market friendly and aims at making the best use of available entrepreneurial talent in a congeniable industrial environment. So the industry is thus expected to grow faster under the new industrial policy of 1991. So in this you can remember the system, that is what LPG system. Short you can remember LPG: liberalization, privatization and globalization. What is this liberalization? We have discussed it briefly. I'll explain. Liberalization is what? Freedom for the industries. If they want to establish an industry, they can establish without taking permission from the licensing from the government. No need of taking the permission. No need of taking the licensing from the government. They gave the freedom. Wherever you want to establish, you can establish. Okay, for some industries, they made it compulsory. Whereas for some industries, they didn't give any importance. Got my point? And the next we see the privatization. What is this privatization? Privatization is what? Reducing the role of public sector and giving much importance to private sector. The role has been diverted. Got it? Why? Why the process has taken place? Why? Because public sector, whatever the commodities they are producing and other things, now it were under crisis, sick industry. Okay, it has become sick. Why it has become sick? Because they are not using the new methods, and production is not increasing, and unnecessarily they are paying the salaries to the people. So if waste, if they go lost to the government itself, the government is investing so much of amount on that now, that industry, what is the use? Got it? And later, what in 1991, the P.V. Narasimha Rao, he changed the system itself. Because if it is under loss, it is very difficult to maintain our economy. So if still it continues, if you see in the government college, if admissions are not there, waste of paying the salaries to the lecturers. Got it? If admissions are increasing, then automatically, like we can develop. The schools we can take, especially not the colleges. You can see the schools, government schools, only just 15 per section, 10, 20 like that. So what is the use? of having the government schools. Got it? The people, they want what in engineering and in medicine, they want government colleges, but in schools, people, they are going to the private only, private, and all DG schools and have come, and all those, they are giving much importance to private sector, private schools. So if that is a possible, in the same manner, you can say in our economy, privatization, giving much importance to private sector. Why? Because private sector, what is that? Investment, they'll invest because they want the profits. So when they have done this private sector, immediately they changed the meters, electricity department, you can say. Everything, it has been fiber and all that they made it. And also regularly, they used to collect the bills also. Okay. So with that, they'll get whatever they're investing now, they'll get the returns also. They want the quick returns. Private sector's main goal is what? They want the quick profits. You got my point? So that privatization has taken place. Public sector role has diluted and they gave much importance to private sector. Then what's the story of globalization? Globalization is what? Across the boundaries, whatever the commodities are manufactured by other countries, they can enter into our economy, and whatever we are producing now, those commodities they can send to export to other countries. They gave that freedom. It crosses our country border. Okay. So with that process, what happened? Globalization. Everything has changed. The commodities flow from one place to another, from one country to another country. What happened to our homemade commodities? Because our products, nobody is demanding, nobody is consuming. So if they are not consuming, what happens? The demand will reduce, demand reduces. Then naturally it creates what? Unemployment problem. Yes or no? Unemployment. Because you can take the example of what is that? Cot. For that, they'll tie, what is that? Handloom things you can take. When people are not buying the commodities of those handmade commodities, then he'll be under unemployed. Got it? So here, the globalization, our homemade products, China Bazaar, you can see in our economy. So when China products are coming to our economy, we are giving much importance to buy those commodities only, because any item you can purchase for 35 rupees, 25 rupees, like that. So in our economy, when we want to purchase in our country, the price is high. Say 25 rupees item price is 35, like that. So naturally we are giving importance to, we will buy the China products only, because the cost is less. So this globalization has made, what is that? Many during the period now, they gave the slogans, we don't want the globalization. Okay? Because it is creating what? Unemployment to the people. People, when they are not buying, what the producers will do? Producers, they have to suffer when they are not buying, because we the consumers only the creates the demand for the people. Yes or no? Consumers only. When consumers, suppose you're buying a pen, if it is nice, what you'll say? It's very nice. Then it passes. If it passes, what happens? Naturally, a demand will be there in the market. Okay. So try to remember, in this new industrial policy now, we have the LPG policy, that is in short, liberalization, privatization and globalization. And our products now, they used to export, and other products, when it comes to our economy now, it will be called as imports. You got the point about the new industrial policy resolution. So now next one, we see the critical analysis of the new industrial policy. Okay, what is this? Positive impact. Positive impact. The first point in this positive impact, that is, creativity and innovation have become the order of the day. And you see, the knowledge is updated by constant research and development. Yes or no? Some research and development is undertaking. Industries started concentrating on research and development to bring out the creativity in product design. So with this new industrial policy resolution, the positive impact is what? Creativity, because we have to send the products to other countries. If the quality is good only, they'll place the orders. If quality is not good, we cannot place the orders. We cannot get the orders from other countries. So for that purpose, what the people will do, what the manufacturers will do, creativity. Okay, the design, the product design, they'll change. So if changes takes place now, or innovation, creativity is there, then automatically the product, we buy those products only. If you see in the market, take the example of TVs. So the new TVs like LCD and LED TVs have come. The old black and white TVs or the with the DG sound, some TVs, woofer and other TVs were there. So people are buying woofer TVs or LCD TVs. Naturally, LED and LCD TVs only we are buying. So what is the use of manufacturing the old products? No use. So what they have to do? They have to manufacture the latest. The technology, mobiles also you can take. The technology based mobiles are coming, iPhone and other phones are coming. That is nothing but the technology upgradation. The models are changing. Okay. So here you can remember with this a positive impact of this policy about the creativity. And second, we can see after 1991 policy, quality aspect has gained a lot of significance. The focus is on total quality, which is to be maintained at all levels, right from the manufacture of the goods till it reaches the customer. Yes or no? Everything should be quality. So if quality is not good, automatically it affects, because nobody will buy if quality is not good. Okay. And third, we can see with the new industrial policy, there is an extensive growth of infrastructure such as transport, banking, communication, etc. The growth, extensive growth has taken place. The transport facilities have developed, banking and also the communication system fast is growing. Okay, this is a positive impact. And the next you can see the free flow of foreign capital on account of FDI. You know that, we have explained that. I have explained it. And employment opportunities in multinational companies. Naturally, because when there is a flow from foreign direct investment to multinational companies, naturally they are getting an opportunity to work, because investment process is taking place. Okay. Then increase in the standard of living. Naturally, when income increases, what happens to the standard of living of the people? Increases. Then implementation of better technology also. Technology also, it's a positive impact. So overall, you can remember creativity and innovation is a positive. Then focus on total quality, which quality aspect again the importance. Then third, we can see the growth in infrastructure. The next we see the foreign capital. then employment opportunities and standard of living and implementation of better technology. Okay, fine. The next one we see the negative impact. Negative impact, tough competition from domestic industries. Yes or no? It is affecting for the domestic companies, domestic industries. People are not buying the products. Domestic products we are not buying because we are giving much importance to China products only. So when you are giving importance to China products, what happens to the homemade products? Demand will be less. The competition will take place. And the opposition from the trade unions naturally. Then next is unemployment, exactly, because they have to shut down the shop and they have to go because people, they are not buying the products. Indiscriminate use of natural resources of domestic country by multinational companies. They are not using properly. Okay. Then distortions in production structure. In production structure also, it affects, because when the people are buying, then naturally the producers, what they'll do, even they'll show interest to manufacture the commodities. So try to remember what is this new industrial policy, who has given this industrial policy, who gave much importance, which government has given the importance. PV Narasimha Rao's government gave importance, and what are the features. LPG you can remember in short, and they have given much importance to convertibility and licensing and privatization and globalization. And next, what is a positive impact and also what is a negative impact of 1991 policy resolution. I think you got an idea about the 1991 policy. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.